Great. So, welcome everyone. This is day one of our strength training circuit class. So, this class is brand new as far as the title, as far as the layout or the way the class is going to be run. We'll start with a quick warm up, probably about 5 minutes max, and then we'll go through a series of exercises through a circuit. So, or if you've been with me before, a circuit is just another word for superset or giant set. So, each set's gonna be pretty much, I would say, anywhere between 3 to 5 different exercises. We are gonna try to aim and work on a full body scale. So trying to really target the whole body, not just one day working on arms or one day working on legs. We're going to try to get the whole body. If you happen to be enrolled in my other classes, this class is Tuesday and Thursdays, as you saw hopefully on the little tile, from 9 to about 9:50. We'll take about a 10-minute break. So will conclude this course. We'll take about a 10-minute break, and then we'll start on the next course, which is also from Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. But that's going to be through a different Zoom link. So we'll log out of here and then go to the different tile and navigate ourselves through there. So that's going to be pretty much how this summer goes and pretty much moving from there. So other than that, there's really no other changes. If you can make it to the live sessions, all of these sessions are being recorded. So I will just upload the recording into the front page. So every week you should be getting about 2 recordings or 2 sessions. Like I said, we're meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays with this specific class. And I believe we may have a couple instances throughout the term where we don't meet. I know in about a month we won't meet for Juneteenth. And then I believe also for the 4th of July, classes are shut down for that weekend. So, but I'll keep you posted in case something else happens to come up. I'll either send an email or put it up on Canvas. Okay, so if you happen to go to a live Zoom session through these links and you don't see anyone showing up, especially if you don't see me, it's very likely that there's no class that day. So I'll just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start with our warm up. So my name's Julio Jimenez. If you haven't met me yet, I forgot to mention that. I'm Julio. Nice to meet everyone. So let's go ahead and start looking left to right. All right, as far as equipment for today, a chair. If you have some dumbbells, that would be helpful. If you don't, then your body weight should suffice for today. But let's look up and down. I would recommend, a little bit of access to some equipment. But usually for me, for this class, let's do neck circles. I will usually bring my 7-pound dumbbells. And then for my heavier exercises, I may have my 10 or my 15-pound dumbbells. So the directions, I have some folks reaching out. Mhm. That's your snow angels. See, I have people messaging me saying that they're in the wrong classroom or they can't see me right now. So let me send them a picture that we are in fact live. Okay, let's do our trunk rotations. It's first day of class, stuff going on. Trunk rotation. So just gently turning left to right. Let's do our ab circles. So keeping your back straight, hinge at your hips, and come across. Okay. I think we had a couple folks not make it because I think they were under the impression that it was Monday today. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Cherise. It's
Oh my gosh, Debbie did it too.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's not it, it's not Monday.
I know we're all mixed up with the holiday. Well, there was two of us normal ones that got it Monday.
Okay. Well, I'm glad the Zoom link works. So yeah, it felt like a Sunday yesterday, but
Oh,
it even
well, okay.
felt like a Saturday. Um, but yeah, let's go high knee march. All
All
right.
right. Well, there was two of us, so we're okay.
Okay. Let's do our hip openers. So we have some new folks in here, so we're just following along. So welcome. Yeah. So I know it's a new format. So this class, as I was saying earlier, will meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at from 9 to about 9:45, 9:50. Let's switch. And then for the class that starts at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's another tile. So we'll access that through there. And I have them separate in a different Zoom link because not everyone that's in here is also enrolled in the next class or vice versa. So yeah, so just bear with me like that. So we'll have about a 10-minute intercession, moving forward with these days. So let's do our quad stretch. We're almost done. We don't want to spend too much time just stretching. And because of that, if we're not spending too much time stretching, what I would recommend is maybe before you log into this class, if you go for like maybe a 5-minute walk around your block or just do something on your own that's going to get on your heart rate a little bit more, or, you know, don't do what I used to do back in my COVID days where class started at 9 and I would wake up at 8:55 and just rush and you're just asking for an injury or something like that. And let's go ahead and our last stretch, our hamstring stretch. So slide your hands down to your ankles, drop your hips, and just fully extend. Let's do two more. And last one. All right. Very good. So, as I was mentioning earlier, we'll go up until these classes will be about 45 minutes to about 50 instead of like our typical 65 to 70. So, yeah, we just need to speed through it. And as far as the cool down, we'll do something very minimal so we could get most of our active um, movements going on. So, with that being said, today's workout, I know some of you are brand new um, to have classes with me, so we'll do more of like an introduction workout. But moving forward, like I said, it's going to be more like the circuit. So for today, we're just going to do one exercise or one set of each exercise, if that makes sense. So one step would just be, let's say we have a assigned push-ups for the day. So we're going to be doing one set of push-ups and each set is going to be 10 push-ups. So that would be one set. We do maybe jumping jacks. Maybe we do 10 jumping jacks. We rest for about a minute and then we go back to the push-ups and that would be set number two. So that's a typical workout. But for today, since we're just introducing, we're just going to kind of speed run through a lot of the movements just so you get familiar with them. And then on Thursday, we'll have like a very typical workout as usual. Okay. So All right, and I do have this app where I program my workouts in, and I'm just visualizing. So if you see me going back and forth, that's what I'm doing. And also have a water nearby, have a towel nearby. Other things, if there's a movement that just feels funky, you don't like how it feels, it causes pain, maybe unbalance, and you're not comfortable doing it, then feel free to skip it. And after each movement, we do want to take about 30 seconds rest. So it'll be very typical that some of these movements will go 30 seconds of work, 30 seconds rest. Otherwise, it's going to be maybe I give you a set amount of numbers to complete, and then it's going to be 30 seconds rest. So we'll get started. Our first one's gonna be our dumbbell goblet squat. Okay, so a squat is gonna be wide stance, goblet. You're gonna hold your dumbbell up here. If you don't have a dumbbell, you could hold a book, maybe a gallon of milk, a gallon of water, and you're just gonna go sit down and do a squat. Okay, that's gonna be our first movement. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and begin. So dumbbell squat, we are doing 10 to 12 of these. Okay, so we're here, shoulder width apart, come down and up. If you don't have equipment, you could just do your own body weight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I usually inhale my way down, exhale my way up. 11, I'm gonna go for 12 and 12. All right, very good. So again, 30 seconds rest. Give yourself a little break. All right, our next one, we're gonna grab a chair. Okay, so just have your chair nearby. We're gonna be doing our dumbbell seated overhead press. So for this one, you will need your equipment, so your dumbbells to do a shoulder press. If you happen not to have any dumbbells, you could at least follow the movement so we can start training the joint and the muscles with that practice there. Okay, so all right, here we go. 10 to 12, ready, and begin. So again, as you're going away from your core, that's when we're exhaling. As you're bringing your body back in, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Awesome. Good work. What's next? And feel free if you want to have a little notebook and track your progress, you could always do that. Okay, we're going to be back on our feet. This one's going to be a body weight sumo squat. Okay, so body weight, no equipment necessary. Whenever I say body weight, you don't need any equipment. So sumo squat, it's a wider stance that's going to focus on your glutes and on your hamstrings. Okay, so here you could just drop your hands down or keep them at your hips. And 10 to 12. So down, 1. I like pausing at the bottom for about half a second before I rise. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. As far as repetitions, if you're struggling with them, but you're still managing to get them done, I would recommend doing anywhere 8 to 10. And if you feel like you're in pretty good shape, and you could do a little more. I would say 12 to 15, but 10 to 12 is the sweet spot. Okay. All right. So next movement is our dumbbell lateral raise. Dumbbells at your side. This is targeting your shoulders. Just going to bring the dumbbells at shoulder height and back down. Okay. So this first circuit is 5 exercises. Okay. All right. 10 to 12 and begin. So again, anyone that is in my any classes that start at 10, just remember that those classes that start later are the easier, more stretching, balance classes, a little bit of foam rolling, and the classes that we start at 9 are our more active classes. Okay, so in case you show up at 10 o'clock ready to burn some calories, you might be a little disappointed. So 9, 10, 11, and 12. Awesome. Oof. These movements that we're kind of going by them fairly quickly, you're not only getting your strength workout, but you're also getting some good cardio. Okay. All right. And this next one's, you're definitely getting some cardio. We're going to be doing some jump squats. Okay. So again, if you're not, sometimes I know when we jump, we could be a little bit, worrisome about our balance. But jump squats, pretty much, we're going to go here. And then this is all the jumping we're doing. Okay, so just getting about an inch off the ground if we need to. And that's going to help with our calves. Okay, usually squats are just upper legs, but that jumping is going to help our calves. Okay, and if the jumping seems like too much, what you could do is come here and just get off your heels. Okay, so you could just do that. All right, so 8 to 10 on these. Any that seem a little bit different, let's do 8 to 10 and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that's how my heart rate goes up. All right. So that's our first set. Okay. Our first set. All right. So this is where we're catching our breath. I'm catching my breath. Next set is going to be targeting your hinge, which is hinging is pretty much this movement here. And then also our glutes and our hamstrings. So this next workout is going to target pretty much everything that's from your belly button down to your knees. That's what we're working on. So, and then after that, we'll work on some upper body. Okay, so our first one's going to be our dumbbell Romanian deadlift. Most of these movements are named after the equipment that you're using, and the movement that you're doing. Okay. All right. So dumbbell Romanian deadlift. Similar to our hamstring stretch that we were doing earlier, you're gonna have a slight bend at your knees, dumbbells at your hands, keeping your dumbbells pretty much in contact with your legs the entire time. Slight bend at the knees and stick your glutes and your hips out behind you. Slide your hands and then come back up. You're gonna feel that on the hamstrings. Okay, so again, slowly, about 3 to 4 seconds down, and about 3 seconds back up. That's 2, okay? So your back is nice and straight. You're hinging at the hips. And come up. 3, 4. Hinge, hinge, hinge. 5, we want to keep our back nice and straight, no curve. Your head looking down the entire time. Don't be looking around. That's how we hurt our neck. 5, 6, 7, doing 8. So one more. 8. All right. That's one of those slower movements, but really targets the hamstrings in a good way, right? All right. So our next ones are dumbbell bent over row. Okay. So this one, since it is our first time, we'll do 6 of each. And this one, we're going to use a chair to support our back. So we're just going to rest our hand on it, your dumbbell one hand, and you're just going to pull that dumbbell up to your side and back down. Okay. So this is the dumbbell bent over row. And if we were doing this without the support, you would just kind of be down here and doing that. So some of my returners, if you're comfortable doing that, go ahead and do those. Okay. All right. Ready and begin. So if you're doing single hand, do 6 and 6. And if you're doing both at the same time, just do a total of 10. So again, fully extend and bring that dumbbell in. You could either keep your elbow flared out. That's going to work on the outside of your back a little bit more. And if you bring your elbow right next to your side, that's going to work on the center of your back. Okay. We'll switch once you've done 6. So again, so exhale as you're going away from your midline. And as you're bringing that dumbbell to your body, inhale. Awesome. Good work. How's everyone doing so far? How are my new people? All right, Debbie, you're good. Debbie, we missed you. I haven't seen you in like the last 2 weeks.
I've been sick.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you're better.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Glad you're on vacation. All right, we'll be on the floor for the next one. This is gonna be our glute bridges, okay? So just have your yoga mat handy. You wanna set that up. We're gonna do our glute bridges. And we'll be back on our feet. Well, actually, glute bridges and Supermans. I don't like doing the standing and sitting and standing and sitting stuff too much. So, all right, so glute bridges, we're gonna set ourselves up like a sit-up. Okay, you're resting on your back, your knees are bent, and what we're gonna do here is bring your hips off the ground, squeeze your glutes, and then drop your hips back down. Okay, all right, ready? And hips up, squeeze, and down. Up, squeeze, down. We're doing 10 of these. Up, squeeze, down. Up, squeeze, down. Up, squeeze, down. We're at 5. Up, squeeze, down. 6. Up, squeeze, down. 7. Up, squeeze, down. 8. Up, squeeze, down. 9. Last one. Up, squeeze, down. And 10. Good job. So again, that targets your glutes and your adductors, so those tendons and muscles around your groin area. All right. So been doing a lot of legs, so your glutes might be being a little fatigued. All right, next one, we're gonna be belly down. Belly down. And for this one, we're just gonna go ahead, lift our shoulders, our arms off the ground, and then try to lift your legs, if you can, even your knees. And we're just gonna hold that for about 30 seconds, okay? All right, when you're ready, in 3, 2, 1, and up. 10 more seconds. Keep that chest up, knees up. 3, 2, 1, time. All right, and then just reset yourself. Let's rise. All right, and then right now to finish off our upper body a little bit, we're just gonna do shoulder shrugs, so dumbbells at your side, and we're just gonna bring those shoulders up towards your ears, and then drop them back down. Okay, so this one's pretty easy, not too bad. Good morning, Doris. All right, we're ready. We're here, and shoulders up and down. Debbie's doing calf raises. You can always incorporate that. It helps. So again, just bring your shoulders as high as you can, then as low as you can. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, awesome. We're at 9:30 already, so very good. Okay. All right, so we're going on to our third circuit now. Okay. So this one's I'll go over the exercises as we recover. So take this time to recover. We're gonna do dumbbell reverse lunges here. Okay. Then we're gonna go ahead and after that, we're gonna do walking lunges. And I'm doing these lunges or these standing ones first because the next movements are gonna be on the floor. Okay. And then after that, we have push-ups. Then we have floor presses. So it's just being on our back and pressing the dumbbells up and down. And then we have a dumbbell chest fly. Okay, so the ones that we're doing on the floor are going to be for our chest. Standings are going to be for our legs. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our dumbbells. We're going to be doing 5 on each side. So I have my dumbbells here. Remember, if lunges are not your go-to exercise, you can always do split position start and just go up and down as well, okay? All right, so 5 on each leg. Ready, begin. And I'm gonna alternate for these. So when I alternate, I do give, the other leg a little bit of time to recover. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, and 5. Okay. Take about a 30-second rest. For walking lunges, I like giving myself some space. So if you have a long hallway in your area, that's probably the best place to do walking lunges. And same as the reverse lunges, we're going to do a total of 10. Okay, so once you reach your dead end, just flip it and go again. All right, go ahead and begin. So I reset. Okay, so I usually reset so I get the consistent range of motion. So that's the end for me. Then I'm going to turn around. 3, 4, 4, and 5, and 5. Okay. Good work. So you'll know that lunges will target the glutes real quick. Next, we'll be on the floor. So go ahead and find your way to the floor. We're going to do some push-ups. Okay, so this next 3 exercises are pretty chest heavy. Okay, and for push-ups, there's different ways to do them. You could do knee-assisted push-ups, which you're still working on your chest. You could cross your ankles and continue with that, or you could go just traditional push-up. And then hand positions. The further your hands are from each other, the more you're working out your chest. The closer you bring them in, the more you start incorporating your arms. Okay, so whatever position you want to go, just keep that in mind. All right, we're doing 10 to 12 push-ups. Ready and begin. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12. Getting the sweat on. All right, that was number 12. We have our dumbbell floor press next. So for this one, you want your dumbbells nearby. And we're going to position ourselves on the floor like we did earlier for the glute bridges. So we're going to be here. Grab your dumbbells. Keep them nice to you here. And we're going to exhale and push up. Inhale and come back down. Okay? We're going to go for a total of 10 to 12. Ready? And begin. Exhale. Inhale. 1. All right, and just go at your own count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Put those dumbbells down. Okay. And then our next movement is going to be same position as you were right now with the sit-ups. I mean, with the floor presses. But instead of pushing up, you're going to go wide and bring them together in front of you. Okay. So instead of pushing up, like here, you're doing a fly. Okay, so you're going to bring the dumbbells close to each other here. Alrighty. Grab those dumbbells. This one might be a little bit more challenging. Ready? And begin. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oof. Oof. How's everyone feeling? Are we tired? Give me some feedback, people. How are we doing? Good? Okay, see, Olivia says good. Is our heart rate up? Is this a little bit quicker than usual?
Yeah, a little bit quicker than
What was that?
a little bit quicker than usual.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. With the shorter time frame, we're just trying to squeeze in everything. It's already 9:35, so
Got a little sweat going.
good. There you go. I know. I'm definitely sweating. So, and it's supposed to be, I think, just in the mid 60s today, which is nice. Now I gotta get my runs in around noon. So All right, so this next one is going to be focusing on our upper body with some emphasis on our arms, okay? So, all right, we did our, yeah. So, all right. All right, so for some of you, this might be a repeat if you did this earlier, but now we're going to do our hinge rows. So now we're here. Some of my newbies got some experience with the single-handed, so now we're going to go both at the same time. So again, if that seems a bit uncomfortable, then use the table or your chair for for support. Okay, ready? So hinge at your hips, arms down, and begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can go for 12, 10, 11, and 12. So anything you see circuit, sometimes there's not a lot of cardio exercises going um, you know, specifically in the workout, but because you're getting so little rest in between, it does get your heart rate up. All right. Next, we do have our hammer curls. So let's go ahead and grab our dumbbells. So hammer curls, when you're positioned down here, your palms should be facing each other, okay? So here, regular curls, my palms are facing the screen. When I rotate my wrist, now they're facing each other. And then we come up and fully extend all the way down. So give me 12 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Very good. Good work. Okay. This next one is going to be our dips or tricep kickback. Okay, so if you're a little bit more advanced, and also if you have a safe place, you could do your dips here. So supporting yourself with the chair. If that seems a bit much, what you could do, similar to the bent over row, the supported one, you start here, but you just extend your forearm behind you. Okay, so that's targeting the tricep. So if you're doing the ones I just demonstrated, give me 6 on each arm. If you're doing the dips, give me anywhere between 8 to 12. Okay. All right. So again, that's targeting your tricep, which is the 3 muscles behind your arm. Okay. So go ahead and begin. And remember, if you're doing bench, the further your legs are from you, more challenging. Oof. Good job, Debbie. Good job, ladies. This next one you've probably seen bodybuilders or people at the gym doing, but this is usually one for your biceps to fully engage with it. So for this one, it's called just a concentrated dumbbell curl. So I'm gonna have my left arm that I'm not using just resting here, and then my elbow is gonna be resting on my inner thigh and on my, pretty much on my hand, my wrist. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do a curl. Okay. And we do it in this way because sometimes when we're standing and we're doing this movement, as we are fatiguing, you might notice that we start throwing a little jump into our, into our curl. We start using our legs a little bit more. Sometimes we start twisting and lifting our back to get that dumbbell up. But being in this position just really just eliminates all of that. So let's do two more. All right, and then we're gonna switch hands. So again, just switching. And then again, fully extension, bring that dumbbell up. Make sure your wrist is comfy. And again, if you don't have any dumbbells, good places to find them, Ross, Marshalls, maybe even at a thrift store. Yard sales are a good place. And down. Arms are pumped right now. Okay. And it is 9:44, so we're just gonna do two more, and then we're gonna call it. Okay, so we could cool down a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll finish with our arms here. We're gonna do our tricep overhead extension. So for this one, usually I'll show you how I hold this dumbbell, but dumbbells here, I kind of just grab my fingers here and then I do the same. And in this way, I just kind of hold it over my head and then extend, then down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. Okay. All right. All right, and then just to finish off, pretty easy. You have your dumbbells nearby, just for your calves. Just rest your dumbbells right above your knees, because if you have them closer to your hips, if you're not really using the weight from the dumbbells. And we're just going to go ahead and do 20 calf raises. So again, just lifting your heels off the floor. Any of those. Okay. Once you've reached close to 15 or 20, what you could do is keep the dumbbells there and then now just raise your toes off the ground. Okay, so that's working on your anterior tibialis, which is that muscle group in front of your lower leg. So again, we'll be done shortly. Right after this one, we're gonna conclude the class. If you remember the warm-up, you could try that as your cool down, what we did for the warm-up. And if you are with me, starting at 10 o'clock, we have quite a bit of stretching going on right now. So yeah, that could work as your cool down too. So let me go ahead and conclude this session. But do we have any questions before we depart right now? All right, and then again, if you're enrolled in my next class, but you have something going on right now and you have to go somewhere, no worries. I'll put the recording on the front page. But if you're gonna join me, then I'll see you in like 10 minutes or so. But for anyone else that isn't joining me in the next hour, do we have any questions, especially for my new people? Any questions or comments? All right. So cool. Who's gonna join me in a little bit?
Which-
Show of hands.
Is that the IVC one?
No. That's the
Oh.
it's the one that starts at 10 o'clock here. So if you look at the Canvas course shell on
Okay.
Taos, there's one that says Tuesday, Thursday at 10. So you'll just
Oh, okay.
so
All
you'll
right,
go
I'm
there.
still on Monday, so
Oh,
pardon me.
yeah.
I'm slow. I don't know. It's been busy.
Oh, yeah. The
Okay.
IVC one will be through, the Canvas through IVC. So,
Yeah.
all right, folks. Well, if you're with me in the next hour, I'll see you in 10 minutes or so. All right,
Thank you,
everyone.
Leo.
Take care. Bye. See you soon.